the task of providing the firm base for the attack was given to 91st Infantry Brigade. By 4 p.m. on December 14th, they captured the east bank of Basantar River against stiff opposition. The operations across Basantar could now be carried out. Pakistan's 24th Infantry Brigade, having 3 infantry battalions, was responsible for the defense of the Sukhwant ditch, Jarpal and Barapind area. A company of its recce and support battalion was deployed on the west bank of the Basantar River. An armoured regiment supported the brigade. In addition, 8 independent armoured brigade and 2 armoured regiments and an armoured infantry battalion were available as a part of divisional reserves. Enemy air force was very active and put in 30 sorties against 47th Infantry Brigade on December 15th. The 47th Infantry Brigade had 3 infantry battalions, 3 grenadiers, 6 Madras and 16 Madras. It was also allotted 17 horse and 18 Rajputana rifles for the battle. Artillery support was available from the Divisional Artillery Brigade, reinforced by 2 medium regiments. 3 field company of 9 Engineer Regiment was to support them for breaching the minefield with trawls and improving the track through the riverbed. The Battle of Bsantar. The plan of attack for 47th Infantry Brigade was as under. 16 Madras would lead the assault across the Bsantar River and capture Sarat, Chak and Lalial Reserve Forest. Thereafter, 3 grenadiers were to follow and capture Jarpal. 6 Madras and 17 horse were to be inducted after the minefield was breached and were to occupy the gap between 16 Madras and 3 grenadiers. The engineers were to breach 2 vehicle-safe lanes through the minefields, one by trawls and one by hand breaching. December 15th, 1971, 7:30 p.m. was the HR for the attack to go in. The first attack was launched by 16 Madras at HR on December 15th, with the initial objective of Sarat, Chak and Lalial Reserve Forest. The companies had to assault through a 1400-meter wide minefield without proper breaching, under constant heavy artillery shelling from the enemy. The enemy had well-prepared defenses with bunkers, weapon placements, and communication trenches. The battle continued for almost 2 hours, and after a fierce fight, 16 Madras achieved its first objective. The intensity of the battle can be gauged from the fact that in this action, 16 Madras lost 27 men with 82 wounded. Havaldar Philippos was leading a platoon in the attack as the platoon commander and got wounded during the attack. Despite suffering serious wounds, he continued to lead the assault of his platoon, captured 4 enemy bunkers. For his gallantry, Havaldar Philippos was awarded the Mahavir Chakra. Lalial Reserve Forest was captured by 9:30 p.m. December 15, 1971, and Sarat Chak was captured 30 minutes later at 10 p.m. The enemy immediately launched multiple counterattacks on both the location, but was beaten back by 16 Madras. The engineers commenced breaching the minefields at 9:30 p.m. with 405 Field Company reaching the lane with trawls under intense enemy shelling. The vehicle-safe lane to the 1400-meter deep minefield had hardly been marked up to halfway when a concerning message came from 16 Madras. Enemy tanks in Gazipur area had started moving towards 16 Madras positions in Sarat Chak, making the situation critical at the Bridgehead. Since the minefield had not been completely cleared, the Indian tanks could not safely cross it and come to reinforce 16 Madras. And without the cover from the armor elements from its side, 16 Madras would come under immense pressure from the incoming enemy tanks. After assessing the situation, Commanding Officer 17 Horse, Lieutenant Colonel Hanuj Singh, ordered the C Squadron under Major Ajay Singh to move into the bridgehead through the half-marked vehicle-safe lane. This was a high-risk move 17 Horse took, but waiting till the minefield was secured would have given a good opportunity to the enemy to to push 16 Madras out of Sarat, Chak and Lalial. So, at 2:30 am, December 16, 1971, C Squadron, led by Major Ajay Singh, entered the minefield. At the halfway mark, the officer of the Engineer Regiment stopped the squadron force from breaching the minefield. However, in view of the gravity of the situation, the tanks were allowed to pass and guided through the minefield. Miraculously, there were no casualties to the tanks due to the mines, and all tanks safely crossed the minefield. But as the leading tanks emerged onto the enemy side of the minefield, they came under enemy tank fire from the direction of Sarat Chak. The leading Indian tank opened fire at the enemy tanks and destroyed one that had been dug in. Thereafter, the squadron formed up and moved in assault formations towards Gazipur Reserve Forest, where the enemy tanks had been reported. This unnerved the enemy and they withdrew from their positions, calling off the attack at Sarat Chak. The bridgehead was saved. On the Jarpal front, 3 grenadiers commenced its attack on Jarpal at 9:30 p.m. December 15, 1971. In this attack, Major Hoshiar Singh led the assault of Charlie Company and after a fierce fight occupied a low-lying position 200 yards short of a village at 3 am. With the first light, the enemy started to fire at his company. Major Hoshiar Singh was badly wounded during this attack, but he refused to evacuate and continued to stay with his company during its counterattack. The enemy was anxious to throw back 3 grenadiers before the Indian side could consolidate its position in the region, so they mounted an attack on Charlie Company's positions with tanks and infantry. Charlie Company, under Major Hoshiar Singh, did not retreat. They stood their ground and beat back multiple attacks from the enemy on their positions till the Indian tanks of 17 horse joined the battle and helped consolidate 3 grenadiers' position in the battle. The enemy suffered considerable losses during this operation with 85 killed in action, including the commanding officer and 3 other officers of the assaulting battalion. For his exemplary conduct during the strong fire from the enemy, Major Hoshiar Singh was awarded the Paramveer Chakra. The engineers continued their work on breaching the minefield throughout the night under heavy enemy shelling. It was under their bravery it was possible for 17 horse to safely pass through the minefields and reach in time to reinforce Major Hoshiar Singh and Charlie Company of 3 grenadiers. Major V.R. Chaudhary from 9 Engineer Regiment showed exemplary gallantry and leadership during the mine breaching operations under heavy enemy shelling. One enemy shell hit in close vicinity of Major Chaudhary and he lost his life. During this mine breaching operation, 9 Engineer Regiment suffered very heavy losses, with 9 killed in action and 17 wounded. For his leadership and bravery during this operation, Major V.R. Chaudhary was posthumously awarded the Mahavir Chakra. 9 Engineer Regiment, for its role in this operation, was awarded 1 Mahavir Chakra, 3 Veer Chakras, and 4 Sena Medals. 9 Engineer Regiment breached the minefield in time for 6 Madras and 17 horse and a company of Rajputana rifles to be inducted into the battle before first light. 6 Madras was ordered to commence its operations of attacking the gap between 16 Madras and 3 grenadiers in the Gazipur Reserve Forest area. Meanwhile, some enemy infantry had also infiltrated into the bridgehead. They developed their first major counterattack at 8 am on December 16, 1971. 31 Cavalry of Pakistan's 8th Independent Armoured Brigade laid a smoke screen in front of Gazipur, and as soon as the smoke was lifted, the enemy tanks in large numbers began their assault on the Indian positions. With initial accurate fire from the enemy, 17 horse suffered some losses and lost a few tanks. 17 horse then started their counterattack at the enemy and soon enough started dominating the field. 31 Cavalry suffered heavy losses in the attack and was pinned down by 17 horse. Seeing 31 cavalry pinned down by the Indian side, Pakistan's 13 lancers started moving towards 17 horse with the plan of assaulting its flanks through the gap between Jarpal and Gazipur, with another attack on 3 grenadiers in Jarpal. The position at Jarpal, with 3 grenadiers and 2 troops of Squadron B of 17 horse, found themselves hopelessly outnumbered by the incoming enemy tanks and called for reinforcements. Seeing the battalion under severe threat from the enemy tanks, an armored troop under the command of Captain V. Malhotra were ordered forward from Jarpal. The other 2 tanks were commanded by 2nd Lieutenant Avtar Singh Ahlawat and 2nd Lieutenant Arun Khetarpal.